morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Town of Portland Board of Education podcast. And this is our episode with our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Charles Britton. Hi, Charles. So how we go? Hey, we got through the budget.
Yeah, everything's great. You know, here's the neat thing, right? It's less than a month until graduation. Right? Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Right? Today's May 15th, so we are less than a month left until our class 2025 graduates.
Yeah.
And a month and a day until last day of school.
Okay.
So June 17th is last day of school.
Wow.
Friday, May 13th is our graduation, and it's been, we're ending the year solid, right? I mean, this just to give you a sense of where we are in the sort of circadian rhythm of a year in the life of teaching and learning, right?
Exactly.
Last week was a very important week. It was all of our teacher appreciation week, our nurse appreciation week. Thank you to all of our PTOs and parents and administrators who celebrated and recognized the incredibly hard work and important work that teachers do. We are in the midst of all of our standardized testing this week. We're going to wrap up. All of our AP tests are going on, SBAC tests, NGSS tests. There's no lack of tests that kids take in our schools.
There we go.
They're all going great. Spring sports is well underway. We're well more than halfway through the season. State tournament's going to be here any second. And, of course, the big news is this past Monday we had our budget referendum. Definitely very appreciative of everybody that came out and voted for or against it. It's democracy is the least awful of all possible systems of government, but it's still complicated.
No, for sure.
But it requires civic participation. It did pass almost 2 to 1. I think it's like 400, 200. So everybody came out. Appreciate that. That's wonderful. Because by passing a budget now with still 6 weeks left in the school year, we can start planning, right? We know what resources we have. We can, get out there and find great teachers to fill positions. We can make sure those stock rooms are full and the buildings are clean and maintained. And, we have what we need to start the year, as opposed to, waiting farther into the spring and even the summer. If the referendum hasn't passed, it becomes very complicated. So, I'm feeling really good. It's been a good year, but we're finishing strong.
Well, that's good. I did, Mike Pelton's podcast last week, and we got some capital improvements passed, where we got the money procured for the replace the boiler at the Brownstone School.
Oh yeah, yep. So
that's huge.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. We were replacing both of them.
Yeah.
So $280,000.
Yeah.
But we need them.
Exactly.
I mean, we couldn't run a school in the winter if we didn't have boilers working.
Absolutely.
The hard part is, of course, it's the age and the style of the boiler is not something you just go grab at Home Depot, right?
No.
It's something that has to be ordered, custom designed, installed with all this rigging. It's a giant, it's huge. It's the size of an SUV. Right?
Yes.
And we need 2 of them.
Yes.
So fortunately, we got going on this now, because between the date of order and installation, it's almost 6 months.
Yeah.
So we are going to be right up against it.
Getting it in for the heating system.
Right around the end of November.
Sure.
And we're hoping for a warm fall.
Well, I mean, if past years have been any indication, I mean, we've been having relatively mild winters, so that's
it's not terrible. I mean, if we had to run one boiler, because one still works, we would be able to. It's just that one would have an awful lot of pressure on it.
Sure,
it would be doing the work of 2.
Yeah.
But hopefully for a short time it would hold it together until the replacement happened. But thank you to Mike Pelton, Bob Shea, who is a superhero.
Yes.
Our Board of Selectmen, for helping us get that done.
Yeah, no, that's good. And, like I say, I think, the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Education did a great job on putting a frugal budget together.
Me too.
And, kudos to you guys and, basically for the townspeople of supporting it.
Yeah, and that's always the challenge, right, is we need to make sure that what we ask for in our budget, and we always do this, is just what we need, right? Yeah. And that's always been my commitment, that we don't, there's no fluff, there's no placeholders. There's no, it would be nice if there was.
Yeah,
It'd probably sleep a little better. I mean, but
right.
We have to go out and be respectful. That we're asking for people's money. And
exactly.
But at the same time, we don't want class sizes of 27. We don't want to not have sports.
Right.
We need things to run schools.
Sure.
Especially 3 old elementary schools.
Exactly.
They're expensive to keep going.
Yes.
So I 100% appreciate everybody's input. It wasn't just me, it was the Board of Ed, all of the school leaders, everybody has contributed to this budget, and everybody that I work with understands our obligations to be fiscally responsible.
Sure.
And also make sure our students are getting what they need.
Fantastic, yeah. And, basically, from the standpoint of, getting down to the end of the school year and so forth, next week we have our awards night on Thursday.
That's right. Awards night's great.
So, and just an FYI, we had our Exchange Club golf tournament 2 weeks ago, and we collected $400 for our Jason Fidesz scholarship.
Nice, great.
Thing. So the Exchange Club is going to be matched that, so we'll have $800 going into the Jason Fidesz fund. So which would be good. We've been able to. I think we've been doing that since 2014. So we've got some great recipients. And so forth that, you guys all voted on.
Yeah, I helped you pick. I won't steal the lead in terms of who that is. That's a surprise for the night of.
Yeah.
But that's a great night. It's, a place where tens of thousands of dollars from community groups and memorial scholarships are awarded, I think, to some, students who absolutely deserve and that recognition, and with the cost of tuition being what it is, it will be very, very helpful. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no worries. Go from there. I think also, the teachers are doing a phenomenal job, and like you say, I think our staff, teacher, faculty, both throughout all of the schools should be commended for all of the work that they do.
They should be, and that's what makes Teacher Appreciation Week, which was last week, so important.
Yeah,
right. That. Sometimes, like every job has its challenges. The hard part about teaching often is, we need to make sure our teachers are celebrated and recognized for the contributions they make. Teachers, they put their heart and soul into what they do, and I mean they're heroes. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, no, they're great. Yeah. Now, as far as the facilities committee, that's when give us the update on that and where that stands. And I know we've been meeting regularly.
Yeah, that's been a long run.
Yeah.
So, as a reminder, the original goal after the referendum in November didn't pass.
Yeah.
Our former first selectman Ryan Curley and the Board of Selectmen formed up this committee and asked this committee to bring forward another recommendation that. The hope was we would get out this spring with another bonding referendum. The committee has worked tirelessly.
Yeah.
I thought we left no stone unturned with the former committees, but there were a few more stones we had to leave unturned, right?
Yes.
We had to turn over. It's taken a long time.
Right.
And anybody can watch those meetings.
Yeah, they're online.
They're all online. And it's taken way longer than some think it should have, maybe.
Yeah.
But there's no way we could have reached the timeline of getting something out in front of voters this spring based on the level of information and additional reflection that the committee did.
Yeah.
Right. So at this point, the committee has, I believe at this point, all of the information they need about how much it would cost and what the logistics would look like to renovate to new, and or do capital improvements on all of the schools.
Right.
They have, I believe this committee has everything they need. Mm-hmm. With one more meeting, I hope, for us to get a look at what I think is the option that the committee is leaning towards, a good deep dive at that.
Right.
And then I believe this committee will be ready to make a recommendation.
Sure.
Right. Once that recommendation is made, it has to go to both the Board of Ed and the Board of Selectmen.
Yes.
I think we will be able to have a joint meeting to share the committee report, which I will still need to write with the chair.
Yeah.
And hopefully the committee will vote on. And the Board of Education and Board of Selectmen have choices,
Sure.
right? That the Board of Ed and the Board of Selectmen can choose to accept or reject
Right.
the committee's recommendations and then go forward.
Yeah.
That is, ultimately the hard part of being an elected representative.
Sure.
The committee that's working now isn't a decision-making committee.
No.
It's a recommending
Fact-finding,
committee,
yeah.
fact-finding, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Make recommendation committee.
Sure.
The deciders, the people who will ultimately do the work to put something out in front of voters, or put forward ideas,
Yep.
are the elected representatives, being the first selectman, board of selectmen, and board of education.
Sure.
So we're going to get there.
Yeah.
It's taking a long time, and it's not an easy process. I've said from the beginning to everybody involved in this, if there was a cheap and easy way through, we would have found it.
Everybody would be doing it.
A lot of really smart people have been working on this for
Yes.
5 years now. There's no cheap and easy way through.
No. Basically, when you're looking at aging infrastructure, which we're, obviously not, we don't have the market cornered on that at all,
Right.
As far as that goes. Aging infrastructure throughout the country, both on, school systems and, water mains and sewer mains and all that kind of stuff.
You have a lot of variables. You have aging infrastructure. You have historic buildings. You
Sure.
have children and locations and a lot of opinions. One thing I know about Portland is nobody doesn't have an opinion.
Yeah, for sure. For
It's
sure.
down more than any. Everybody's got an opinion. And if there were a cheap and easy way through, we would have found it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And the hard part is that every option that could possibly come forward is going, if it's not going to be cheap and easy, it's going to be expensive and difficult.
Yes.
Right. I mean, any option, I promise, any option that comes out, there are going to be a group of people that say, well, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah. Well, that's why we vote.
So, we have to find something because, you can't continue
The way
to
it
do
is.
nothing.
Exactly.
Or boilers are going to go, or
Yeah.
roofs are going to fall apart.
For sure.
Nothing is not an option.
Well, the committee was, let's put it this way, a well-rounded committee. You had, all of the seats at the table were very knowledgeable people, and I think they did a phenomenal job. And like you say, putting all the facts out there, and now it's just a matter of presenting those facts, whether X, Y, or Z, and going from there.
Yeah, and look at anybody on any committee in this town, whether it's your library committee, strategic planning committee, zoning committee, we owe a debt of gratitude to.
Sure.
Right? I mean, thank everybody on this committee for giving them massive amount of time away from their family,
Sure.
away from their work,
Yeah.
away from their leisure and enjoyment activities, to come sit around a table every Thursday night for hours, and in some cases argue
Yeah.
about what we believe and what we want.
Well,
The system doesn't work if you don't have people and not get paid for it, right?
exactly. Volunteers.
And in some cases, some of the people are volunteering to make a decision that will be roundly criticized by someone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what have the folks on this committee done?
Yeah.
For free.
Yeah.
Taken many hours away from their lives and families.
Yeah.
To make a decision that somebody ultimately is going to accuse them of moronicy over. Right?
Yeah.
So I got to look at everybody on that committee and say thank you.
Yeah.
We couldn't move forward if you didn't do this.
Well, and that's the thing. And, you're going to have the naysayers, and, obviously you're damned if you do, if you're damned if you don't. And,
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. But that's the hard part. Because, again, if there's no cheap and easy way through something, it's only expensive and difficult.
Yep, exactly.
And the other thing I would remind everybody who's listening to this is there's never been a unanimous vote on any committee I've worked on through these.
Nope.
And I doubt there will be in this committee.
Sure.
But in a democracy,
Yeah.
you need 50.6%
Yeah.
to prevail.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes the people in the 49.4%
The minority.
aren't happy about that.
Right.
And again, it goes back to where we started about the budget.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that, but you have to exercise the franchise. You have to engage. You have to vote.
Sure.
You have to be vigorous and articulate your position.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think we've done that, and like you say, as the things get sifted down through the hourglass, and we start putting the proposal together and have the joint meeting with the board.
And I made the mistake of 50.1%, right?
Yes.
I mean, so
anyway, okay, that's great. That's going to be coming up, and we had a good representation of town voters that came out and voted, which was good, and go from there. So we'll get down to the end of the school year. So what do you got on tap for your leisure time for the summer?
Not much. I got to tell you, for all of the parents in Portland, I'm right there with you. I have a son who's a junior and a daughter who's a freshman. So they have reached a point where they're very busy with their activities and sports and clubs and work, lots of work. That they are busy, and we're going to be out looking at some schools for my son, and
good.
Otherwise we'll be here.
Great.
That's it.
Take any vacation time or
maybe a couple of day trips, weekend trips. I'm very much looking forward to getting into the city to watch my Mets a few times, who are killing it this year.
Yes,
very happy to see them.
Yes,
got the Yankees this weekend.
Yeah.
So definitely a few Mets games
for sure.
That's about it.
So who's your pick on the Celtics and the Knicks? What do you think?
Oh boy, well I hope the Knicks, obviously. Who doesn't?
Well, I tell you,
I just don't understand Boston fans. I get it, like it's a great city, but
yeah. Well, they're I think they're going to be a little bit hampered because Jason Tatum is injured.
That's not how you want to. That's not how you want to go.
As far as that goes, but they came back and I guess it's 3-2. So we'll see what happens.
And then of course the Toronto Maple Leafs, who my son's hockey team, are falling apart at the end here. Jeez, they can't get through the second round.
Yeah, no, for sure.
9 years in a row.
Well, it's how many years have the Mets fans been?
Dave, look, I'm a Mets and a Jets fan. Give me a break. I could go on forever.
You're wearing your heart on your sleeve.
You know what? I would just say this: leadership is important. Jets, a new owner.
Yes.
Just like with the Mets, look where we went.
There we go.
Right? I mean, if there's ever a case study in high quality leadership,
there we go.
The Mets is a case study, and I hope the model that the Jets would follow someday.
Yeah, well,
that's a very bitter Jets fan talking. Very bitter.
Well, hey, I don't know. Was the schedule released?
It was. Yep.
Okay. How is their schedule?
I haven't studied it yet. I don't get. It's baseball season. I can't do football yet.
Oh, okay. All right. That's everybody's. The schedule is being released. The schedule is it's going to be interesting to see whether Kansas City has a tough schedule or not a tough schedule.
I can't tune into that until there's a little crisp in the air and the leaves are turning. Then I move from baseball to football.
Football, yeah. Click the switch, go from there. So, all right, fantastic. Well, great. Enjoy the rest of the year.
Thank you, sir.
And we will see you, obviously, at graduation. We will be there.
Excellent.
Whether it's in or out or whatever, we'll be there and go from there. So, all right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this episode of our Board of Education podcast with our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Charles Britton. Thank you, Charles, for coming down.
Thanks, Dave.
And we'll see you next time, and that is all.